everybody, this is Joe Harris from Morgan Financial, and we're going to be talking about the Space Coast, your next home buying destination.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm here with Jenn Clements. And Jenn, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jenn Clements with Coastal Life Property. I am the broker owner.
And Jenn, a couple personal questions, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
How long have you lived in Brevard County?
My whole life.
That's awesome. And is your family from here? Or how did your family come to Brevard County?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not exactly sure how they landed in Brevard County, but my dad was an engineer for NASA for 30 years before he passed and retired. So it's really been just a home that, we made our own. My mom's side of the family, they owned a construction company and a daycare in
cool.
Cocoa.
So you have roots here in Brevard County.
I do.
Awesome. You're the perfect person to talk to about why this area that we live in, we call home, is so awesome. And it's because I'm not native here. I've been here about 16 years, I think. I moved from Los Angeles, but before that I was in Winter Park, Florida, and grew up in the DC area. But I can't imagine calling any other place home after living here.
Agreed.
It's
I've
such
moved
an
away
awesome...
and come back.
Did you? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose to live here, and my whole family followed me and everything, and so we had two perspectives here to talk about Brevard County. So, in your opinion, what makes Brevard County a unique and attractive destination for people looking to relocate?
I think there's just a really good amount of diversity that allows for different types of lifestyles. I think the proximity to Orlando and the theme parks and the international airport are a huge benefit for those that may, have a broader career that need to travel more than stay local. Honestly, just the driving over the bridge is my most favorite part. Whether I go, travel to mainland to show property, or see my family in Titusville, or just coming home, just from a long day in general. So I feel like just the surrounding water is truly just a tranquil place that, offers a lot for, young families, retirees. It really doesn't matter. It's got something for everybody.
Yeah, you're so correct. I think Brevard, I could be wrong, so someone can fact check me on this, but I think there's 72 miles of coastline.
Yes, sir.
Between Sebastian Inlet and Cape Canaveral, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the Banana River, the Indian River. So you can't be too far from water in Brevard County. Even if you're in Palm Bay has Palm Bay River and Palm Bay Harbor, yep, which is more on the south side of Brevard. Titusville, the
National Seashore.
The National Seashore, Play Linda, yeah, beautiful beaches. We do have a lot to offer here.
We do.
Yeah, and
we really do.
And you mentioned driving over that bridge. So, I live beachside in Indialantic. My office is in downtown Eau Gallie area, and every morning driving over that bridge, it just has that calming that comes over you. And then even going home after a stressful day, you go over that bridge, and that water just kind of takes it away.
Yep, sunrise or sunset, it really doesn't matter. It's definitely a feeling for sure.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So you deal with a lot of home buyers coming from other areas, correct?
Yep.
And so, what are some of the top reasons they chose Brevard County to relocate to?
That's a multifaceted answer to that. Simply because the last 3 years have kind of taught us that there are other places that aren't as great to live. So they've, reached out and looked for, how they're going to combine their career and their family life all at the same time. So I think people have really dug deep and figured out that where they call home is really an important factor. There's always pros and cons to everything. And I think the one thing that the COVID time period taught us was how to learn to work remotely and to really diversify how we get paid. And it doesn't necessarily need to be that destination for work. I think we're probably moving a little bit out of that, and people do want their employees back in the offices. But those that did make the change over that time period have really figured out that that's not a bad thing either. They still have a 12 or 15-minute commute to, wherever they work. And I think that's also one of the great things about us being a really long and thin county is that you can pretty much be anywhere in the county in 20, 25 minutes. It really just depends. And our traffic moves. It doesn't sit.
Yeah, coming from Los Angeles, people say the traffic is terrible. I'm like, you had to wait one light rotation during rush hour. Yeah, that's
Right.
not bad.
Right.
15 to 20 minute commute is not bad. So in Brevard County, I think during COVID, like you said, people discovered Florida. They're like, oh my gosh, I could live where I used to vacation and enjoy this weather year round. But Brevard County, in central coastal Florida, we have competition throughout the state, right, to attract people. And I know why I moved here. I could have lived anywhere when I chose to live in Brevard County. I picked it for very specific reasons.
Okay.
Cost of living, right? So, in your opinion, how does the cost of living in Brevard County compare to other popular areas in Florida, like South Florida or the West Coast and things like that?
Well, when we got married 27 years ago, we moved to Hollywood for a short period of time so I could finish school down there. And we didn't last very long. And that was a long time ago. It felt busier. It felt different. It didn't have it didn't have that hometown feel that Brevard County had. Of course, we both were from the area, so that was what we were missing. And of course, family being home, that's what brought us back to that space. But I feel like Brevard County has definitely preserved that hometown feel. Are we busier? Absolutely. Do we have more neighbors? We 100% do. However, I feel like we are kind of capturing that and not making too many big changes that will take away that hustle and bustle. As far as for the cost of living, absolutely. I mean, that many years ago, it was almost impossible to live there from just a standard, dual income type home. And now it's nearly impossible. I mean, we obviously have seen spikes in pricing, but the overall cost to be here and what the county offers in general is still, much less than the majority of the counties in Florida.
Yeah, the quality of life in Brevard County is in my opinion, very high. Traffic is very low. It still moves. Unlike South Florida, where if you have to get on 95, it could be an hour, it could be two, who knows? But that is not, and we barely ever touch the highways here.
Yeah, truly. Most locals don't. Yeah, unless I'm literally going to Palm Bay or Mims, I'm usually not getting on 95. And even still, 95 is a great commute. It's unless there's an accident or something out of the norm, you're definitely moving, no problem.
Right. So you talked earlier about variety in Brevard County. Can you talk a little bit about the different areas and as the way you see it and the variety of pricing options and things like that, if you could kind of generalize certain areas?
Yeah, I think when we're qualifying our clients or having someone call from out of the area, usually on a property that we have listed, a lot of those questions come into play of like, where are you planning on working? Who are you interviewing with? If they're, in the space industry, they tend to lean towards the North Merritt Island, South Titusville, so that they have a great commute to the Canaveral Air Station and such. If they're L3 or defense or something along those lines, they're kind of migrating towards the southern end of the county. Even still, the commutes from the Viera area to north aren't bad, vice versa. So it does cater where we feel like they would potentially want to land. So that's part of the qualifying process. Again, they can always change gears, and I think most people do change, companies or careers every 5 to 7 years. So it does give them options because we do have such diversity from, air to defense to space. They're all available.
Yeah, I think this county has done a great job of diversifying the employers. I mean, for a while, CAPE was the hustle and bustle of the NASA program. Now we have 3 or 4 space programs, right? Is it 3 or 4? Blue Origins,
SpaceX,
NASA, right?
NASA.
They're doing a new launch program, and I think there's one other one.
There's one more that's trying to do, and I'm gonna be in trouble for forgetting it.
Well, we'll figure it out later.
The private flight.
Yes, yeah, but that was the base of the space industry was Space Coast, and that made it boom in north part of the county, Merritt Island, Titusville, Cocoa Beach.
Yep.
Going back to the I Dream of Jeannie days, right?
I was in 5th grade when the Challenger happened, and it was a very grim day in our house because it was very specific to NASA employees, and I watched that change happen, and I watched Titusville, which is where I grew up, turn into somewhat of a very quiet, solemn place because it was very specific to that. People were leaving faster than they ever did because there wasn't employment for
Right.
them. So.
And I think the county has done a great job. L3 Harris, a big employer in the area,
Absolutely.
Northrop Grumman, even Boeing, Lockheed, Rockwell Collins. I think it's just Collins Aerospace now. Ember Air. I mean, the list goes on of employers that have found this is a great place to set up shop and employ people. So we've attracted a lot of higher paying jobs and tech jobs and things like that, which is great for the area.
I do agree.
Yeah.
And great families.
Great families. Can you share a success story? Like, do you have a success story of someone that you've helped move here that's really found a great home in Brevard County? I'm sure you have hundreds of options to talk about. But
I don't know about hundreds, but I do feel like when we spend the time truly getting to know the person and their family and the dynamics of their family, one of our first couple of questions is, obviously about their career and who they plan on working for and what that looks like. But then the second is, what do you do on the weekends? How do you like to spend your time? Are you a runner and you want River Road? Or are you a boater and you want quick access to fishing? I mean, it really just depends on what their weekends look like. Do they want to have access to shopping because that's their thing? It really helps us create what the lifestyle is for them. And I think that's a really important thing. I mean, obviously we have tons of success stories of people that are just really grateful to be here and have a place to call home that just is comfortable. And I feel like that's what Brevard County is. I think the state of Florida did a great job during COVID to allow us to remain working and fluid and free. And, we joked at the very beginning and said, oh my gosh, we're going to have time to catch up on files and get organized.
no.
And for 18 months, we didn't stop moving.
No.
We literally just moved. And it was a constant, how do we get the next person to be our neighbor? So.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone now looking to move or relocate to Brevard County?
Come on.
Bring
Come
it
on. Yeah. I get a little sentimental and I want to keep it, a secret and somewhat quaint, but the reality is there's plenty of room, just like there's plenty of business for everyone. And I feel like those people just add to the diversity and add to the uniqueness of what the county has to offer. And there's, you see these little shops pop up that are, were never, an option before. And you're like, yeah, I like that. I love seeing small businesses thrive. I love seeing people go outside of the box and not make that standard career choice that they, may have gone to school for or whatnot. So that's the kind of stuff that I like. I really like to see people following their passion, and I feel like that's one of the things that Brevard County does allow to happen.
Yeah, it's great when, people come from other areas and bring the culture from other areas. So
Absolutely.
new restaurants, new shops and things like that. So then I don't have to hear, well, I can't get a good slice of pizza here. I'm like, well, I'm sure there's a place in Brevard County you can get a slice.
I'm sure, right?
I'm sure. There's a couple of great places. I know a great place for an Italian sub, but that's neither here nor there. So all this, what, in your opinion, what does the future for Brevard County look like? If you, get your crystal ball out, what does it look like to you? What do you hope it looks like? What do you think it's going to look like?
That's a really good question. I'm really content with it right now. So I feel like it could stay just like it is. I do see more people wanting to be here. They can't help but keep the little secret, to themselves for too much longer. But honestly, I feel like we have room for growth. We have room for, very intentional use of our spaces. We do have still quite a few buildings that are empty that need to be redone and new, life blown into them so that people can potentially do what they've been wanting to do. I don't love seeing new stuff go up. I like to use older buildings and refurbish them for sure. But I hope to see it continue to grow in a natural, not so inflated space that allows us to kind of grow with it versus tend to be scared of it.
Right.
I mean, and anything that goes too fast, change is good, right? I've always
is
said
good.
that. It's hard. It's definitely a space that most people resent while they're in it. But once they're on the other side of it, they truly do realize that it was better and it was for good. And I feel like that's just going to be my outlook no matter what. So I'm excited about the growth. I hope that it continues to grow at a decent space, not too much.
Yeah, we've seen some great growth. Like we have a great zoo. We have a great zoo in Brevard County, and they're building an aquarium
At the port.
That port, transition to the port. We have access to cruise ships right there. You could
World's
jump
largest.
on world's largest now,
Yeah.
right? You can jump on Saturday or Friday or Thursday, come back Monday morning,
All
make it to
those
work,
days.
right?
All those days.
And it's just amazing. We have so many options here. That being said, any final words? Anything you'd like to say?
I mean, as a native to Brevard County, I'm happy to share the space with everybody that's willing to come and play fair and be nice and be kind. And for those that have lived here for a long time, I think it's about time we share it with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing to have Brevard County to call home for sure. I'm certainly proud of it. I'm so happy that my family's here and I get to share it with them and they're not too far away and that it's a place that people want to come visit. And my home will always be open for those that know, that have left and maybe want to come back and visit. But, I do feel like between the port, between, the space industry in general, the zoo, all the things that the area offers, I really do feel like it's a good fit for everyone. We can find a place for you for sure.
Good. Yeah, man, that was well put. Couldn't agree with you more. I do have one quick thing. It's a pop quiz.
Okay.
I didn't warn you about this before.
You did not.
I did not. So you can get
Super
mad at
good
me.
at these.
Okay, good.
Super good.
What do you have a favorite movie?
I do.
You want to share it?
The Hangover.
That was a good one. That was a very funny movie.
It's a classic. I mean, if you went back a couple of years past that, it might be a little bit older, like Dumb and Dumb or something.
Yeah, that's another great movie.
real old satire
Right.
for sure.
And who inspired you most? If you had to pick one, who inspired you most?
I would definitely say my parents. I think that my mom and dad are good examples for sure.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I'm so happy we had a Brevard County native to talk about how awesome Brevard County is. Who better to share this with? And thank you very much for coming. And look, for all those watching, please put down below what your favorite thing about Brevard County is. And if you've never lived here, ask some questions. Reach out to us.
Happy to answer.
Yeah, we'd be happy to answer. So reach out anytime. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Jenn, for being on with us
You're
today.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.